fiat money is a form of digit addiction.
The digit addiction pandemic.
This dishonest ledger is like a hard fork of reality. We have the illusion of getting more for less.
The fiat babies are declining. The Bitcoin babies are increasing. Second and third generations also going for our side.
The popular misconception that we're in late stage capitalism. We're actually in some form of pseudo capitalism.
I actually refer to this as being like a game theoretic fucked nest.
My mother was the business lady and the main provider. My stepfather decided to kidnap and kill her. For me, is second order consequence of manipulation of digits can contribute.
You were able to take traumatic personal experience and to alchemize that and to make it your life's mission to contribute to Bitcoin.
I want to defund the psychopaths.
Yeah.
That is it.
Proof of work. It's not just a consensus mechanism, it's a philosophy of life.
Work is not relying on somebody paying you. Work is moving things through time and space.
Well, this is something a little bit different. Eric Stacks is joining me on the What is Money show as a co-host. So this is his first official interview with me. We're going to be interviewing Mr. Ivan here about his orange pilling and Bitcoin journey. So yeah, Stacks is going to be with us co-hosting hopefully all of our episodes going forward. We'll be doing stuff in person and on Zoom like we're doing right now. And yeah, big change for the show. And I'm really excited to have someone else come in and help promote the brand and take What is Money to the next level.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be a part of it. Having the, opportunity to talk with so many Bitcoiners and such amazing people is something I'm super excited about. So thank you for having me.
Well, go ahead.
Thank you from my side. I'm the new guy. It was a long, long road for me to come on the show, but I'm very, very happy that you didn't agree to respond to me, Robert, 2 years ago, because I would say I would be unprepared then. But now I have valuable stuff to say. And I'm very also happy that we, with Eric, because we connected a year and a half ago and we actually met in real life.
Well, I love to hear that. I mean, it sounds like it's all happening kind of synchronously, so that's good. I don't know that I I probably just didn't see your DM or whatever you sent me. A lot of it goes to the filter, so nothing personal. Yeah. I just get a lot of messages. So in preparing for this conversation, I mean, I know you've done a lot of stuff in Bitcoin, for Bitcoin, thinking, writing, building businesses, etc. What I read was the piece you wrote about the nature of addiction and how fiat money is a form of digit addiction, I think you called it. And so I wanted to jump into this topic first because it is something we talk about often on the show, typically from the perspective of humanity being addicted to money printing, meaning something like every time there's been an opportunity to do it, humans have proven themselves incapable of resisting the temptation to print money. And so this has contributed to like the boom and bust of civilization when you kind of zoom out and study the consequences of money printing on human history. So I'm interested to learn, I read your piece. I want to hear you, because you approach it from kind of a novel angle. So I want to hear like, what are the connections and parallels you're drawing between, I guess in your case, more fiat currency and addiction?
Yeah, well, that particular piece that is called the digit addiction pandemic, it started with trying to separate, first of all, Bitcoin from everything else. Why the hell is this Bitcoin thing so hard to explain? And in the process, I figured out some stuff, but still I needed a narrative. So it is one cohesive timeline and explanation for the audience when they read it. And it hit me really hard that they are kind of selling us this fiat story that we need to obey to, that this is our lifeline and this is how the economy works or everything else. But not only that they're trying to sell us, but now the system is in such a design that we are all addicted to numbers that have no base in reality. And just to make an analogy that I also do in the article itself is that, for example, when you go to the street drugs and somebody sells you coke or fentanyl or I don't know on the street, they try to do the exact same game that they give you the first dose for free because they know that that particular chemical is addictive on its own, and to drop it, it's very hard. But the problem for the dealer and the distributor is to get you hooked. And but it's still grounded in physical reality. They cannot do this from distance. They cannot do this just by talking to you or stuff like that. It's still based in some type of reality. They cannot produce, for example, Coke out of paper and all of those things. But now with Fiat, they can do all sorts of crazy stuff that has no base in reality. That means that it's almost zero cost to produce the product, but they're giving us that, they're pushing that addiction to us because there is some benefit. To use the dollar is better than to deal with barter, obviously. But because of those problems, and that is the hook of the fiat currencies, that the easiness of use in a particular location, area, country, whatever. But when you get used to this ease of use, this comfortable thing, now you're hooked, just like the drug. Now it is very, very hard to drop whatever benefit they give you, and it's very hard to actually adopt Bitcoin that it's completely based in reality. But when you're an addict, you don't think straight, and you just want the next hit. Like, oh, I want to pay everywhere with this thing that I already have. I don't want to pay with some imaginary coin, as they say, and nobody will take it. But that's kind of the analogy that I draw in that article.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that really jumps out at me is this, and we also talk about this oftentimes, that the existence of fiat currency and or the central banking paradigm, which are basically the same thing, they require that the existence of this false ideology or this pseudoscience, to be more specific, of Keynesian economics. Like it's not enough to just get people to use the product, but you actually have to indoctrinate them that the product is very, beneficial to them in all these ways. So that's how we end up with euphemisms like inflation and all these other crazy things. And the other connection that I made as you were saying that, I often use this phrase when I'm talking about the pandemic. If the product is free, then you're the product. So like if there's not a value for value exchange going on, if you're getting something quote unquote for free, well then you can bet your ass, there's some backdoor transaction going on that's taking advantage of you in some way. The prime example is advertiser driven social media. Like you think you're the consumer on Facebook, you think you're the user, but you're actually the product, right? The user's attention is what's being sold to advertisers. So that's why you end up with kind of this spammy, scammy social media experience, because you're actually the product, not the user. And it occurs to me too that central banking is free as well. As not a connection I'd made previously, but no one ever really stops to ask, like, if this central bank is so important, and it's backing all the major financial institutions and all the other too big to fail institutions in the world, shouldn't we have to pay for that institution or fund it in some way? Like if it's that systemically important, you would think like any other important good or service or business in the world, you have to pay for it, right? But this one magically we don't. So hopefully that invites people to just kind of like ask questions about it. And my favorite definition of addiction that I got from Peter Crone was you can never get enough of something that almost works. And that really lands, I think, with both sides of the equation, right? The money printers, let's say the shareholders of central banks that just keep, they're addicted to stealing from people in this way by pushing the false ideology and whatnot. And then on the other side, it creates the conditions in which a debt-based economy flourishes. Flourishes is the wrong word. A debt-based economy takes hold, basically, right?
Yeah.
And that puts people on these debt treadmills, these hedonic consumer treadmills, short-termism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's more than just like an analogy or a metaphor. I think the nature of addiction is in the central banking paradigm, and it is also in more of these traditional forms of addiction, right? Like gambling or drugs or food or whatever the thing is.
Yeah. And I want to make something clear that why I lean more into that it is an analogy because it the regular addictions, as I said, they have some base in reality,
Mm.
in the core of it. But Fiat has none. It is just somebody's illusion. Like
Mm.
the I do this exercise in meetups in Bulgaria in Bitcoin is that I show them, let's say, a $1 bill. And I say, what's the value of the paper? And everybody says whatever the fiat number is. But then I put on 100. What's the value of this paper? And we completely miss the point of the paper. The paper is something that's real. We value the numbers that are completely abstractional things that we use, but in fiat, there's no the grounding to reality is the paper itself. And to make it even more clear, I also talked this in to the article. They are very, very valuable digits that are based in reality that made our humanity strive forward. And those are the digits for length, the digits for time, the digits for weight, and the digits for temperature. All of those are based in reality and they are very, very, very valuable. Without them, we wouldn't have the societies that we have. But if you have something that is not connected to real stuff, that means you're obeying the person that is controlling those digits, what they are supposed to be. That means that they are not controlling us to be slaves with chains, again, based in reality, but they are putting us in chains in our minds, or they are manipulating us to those completely abstractional numbers. And that is what I wanted to say and a little bit disagree that it is an analogy because it's not really an addiction, it's just a prison in our mind, and we believe some fictional things and stories based on propaganda, based on experience, based on everything else. And if you don't stop and free your mind, you are just like an addict. You are not going to say, yeah, I was wrong, my world completely inverses or everything else, because that's the discomfort. We want to be comfortable. And that is why it fits in so many ways and why orange pilling is so goddamn hard.
Mm.
Because we just want to get, we can't admit that we are wrong. So that really, I wanted to clarify that it's completely analogy because there is no base in reality for me.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
I mean, just to
would
finish.
you say that that we're susceptible to that addiction because we want more optionality within the marketplace in this central banking fiat paradigm in some sense? Like I heard Robert say this a long time ago, and I really like it. That dishonesty, this dishonest ledger is like a hard fork of reality. And so in some sense we're addicted, we're supporting this dishonest system because we have the illusion of getting more for less, right? And so it's kind of like a monkey trap comes to mind. It's my understanding that like a monkey trap is a box with a hole in it with a banana inside of it. And the monkey sticks its hand into the box, grabs the banana, and it won't let go of the banana because it wants the banana, and so you can go right up and capture the monkey. So in some sense, what I hear from you is that we're supporting this system that is exploiting from us, and there is this parallel between that support of the system and your standard drug addiction or addiction to anything else.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor for it for me because yeah, they're selling you some fiction, but they're trapping you in a reality. I really like it. That they're telling you, oh, this is real, and the illusion is that you can use it for real stuff. But that's how they trap you, really. That they come to your door, and at some point, your bank is frozen, or you have sudden inflation that comes from on nowhere, or whatever they are trying to sell you again. But you're already in the cage. You just don't want to let go of the lies that they told you, and we are trapped in reality because when Lebanon experienced this a few years ago, like even if you go with the gun in the bank to ask for your own money, that it's already gone. You're already in the cage, and you think that there is a banana, but you're just clenching your fist with nothing, and then they come and destroy you.
iCoin Technology has released a slick new hardware wallet. It looks like a mini iPhone with a high-res 3-inch touchscreen and camera on it. The device has no Wi-Fi, no cellular connection, and no GPS. It is an air-gapped hardware wallet which uses QR codes and a camera to communicate with the Bitcoin network. It has a built-in camera which is required for air-gap operation, and it has an optional Bluetooth compatibility. It's really a brand new user interface and user experience for a Bitcoin hardware wallet. iCoin makes self-custody accessible, easy to use, and non-intimidating. It even comes with an optional custom iCoin thermal printer so you can print out the private key and its associated QR code when you're setting up the wallet. This makes setup quick and simple. Also, it is easy to restore the wallet just by reading the seed phrase QR code with the wallet camera. And as we always talk about on this show, the only way you can truly own your Bitcoin is by having it in self-custody. So you need a device like the iCoin wallet to truly own your Bitcoin. So go to iCointechnology.com/breedlove today for 30% off the purchase of this sleek new hardware wallet. Again, that's iCointechnology.com/breedlove. In times of chaos, clarity can be currency. Right now, supply chains are fragile and cash flow has never been more volatile. If your business can't adapt in real time, then you're exposed. That's where NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 cloud ERP, trusted by over 41,000 businesses for a reason. It gives you total visibility, from global shipments to real-time cash flow to the true cost of what's stuck. NetSuite consolidates accounting, finance, inventory, and human resources into one unified platform, one source of truth. With AI baked in, routine tasks get automated away so that your team can stay focused on high-leverage activities. If I were scaling a business right now, NetSuite is the system I would use. One system, full control. With NetSuite, you can tame chaos. If you're running a business doing 7 figures or more in revenue, grab their free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders, at netsuite.com/whatismoney. Again, that's netsuite.com/whatismoney. The thing that I guess this is like a semantic issue almost, but because Fiat's basis, quote unquote basis in reality was gold, right? That it was a paper derivative for real money at some point. So it was a promise to real money. And then over time, that it goes from full reserve to fractional reserve to zero reserve, which is fiat basically. So fiat is basically this bait and switch, right? Like people get conditioned or programmed into using the paper and they think, oh, the paper, they mistake the map for the territory. They think, oh, the paper is the territory, the gold. And then eventually, nation states just rug pull people basically and force them to
Yeah.
use the paper. So it's like there's this conditioning phase that goes on, almost like a Pavlovian dog, right? Just getting the dogs really conditioned to using the paper. And then there's this divergence, obviously, between face value and real value, right? Like when it's full reserve, the face value equals the real value, right? The note is redeemable for a certain weight of gold. And by the time you get to zero reserve fiat, it's the opposite. It's all face value and no real value, to your point, right? You're showing the same sheet of paper or the same banknote rather, and people think, oh, it's worth one or it's worth 10 or it's worth 100, when the real value of that note is actually nothing, right? It's just a confidence game. So that, yeah, I think it's interesting because it kind of begs the question about addiction in general that, like, I'm thinking of people that are porn addicted, for instance, right? It's like, well, are they addicted to the porn or are they addicted to the chemicals in their brain when they're watching the porn? So there's like this chemical addiction that's not necessarily substance based, right? Like porn isn't a substance, it's just media. People can also, like I brought up gambling, people can be addicted to exercise, like all kinds of stuff. So it's not necessarily, I think we traditionally think of addiction as like this substance that people are taking, but to your point, I think what you're saying is like it's almost more of like an analogy because there is no actual substance, which is another way of saying realness, right? Like substance. Like when you stand beneath it and you understand it, there's actually something there, but there's actually nothing there. So people are addicted to the illusion. Is that maybe a fair way to say it?
Yeah, and for this, we can get addicted to anything because our smart brain cannot understand between something that we experience with our senses and something that we can vividly imagine.
Yeah.
For our brain, it's kind of the same thing. So it is about the response of our own thoughts, how we agree, and that's how we develop any addiction, whether that's based on reality or based on, again, imagination. So I agree with this, and this is how I also like the Jason Larry's thesis and everything there. That for me, I would tell you this, Robert, that right now in this episode, I'm doing a full circle because my lady was one of the main people that got me into Bitcoin. I was very, very lucky. One of the few men that because of her lady. But when I started studying, you were very instrumental for me to understand everything. You were not the only one, but that's why I would tell you this, that thank you very much because you were part of my journey after the pandemic. My journey started in December 2021. I took my Christmas break and I binged on content for 16 hours a day, 3x on every podcast to finally understand that crypto is total bullshit. And I was 99.999% right. But this goddamn Bitcoin thing, I couldn't find the hole.
Hmm.
And I actually understood that, okay, this is not only completely different, but I had no idea that I don't understand what money is.
Oh, well, thank you,
Yeah.
honestly, for saying that.
Yeah, I'll second that one. Yes.
Uh,
I what comes to mind for me is we only become addicted to things because they're making us feel better in the moment. And it seems that this fiat paradigm, it's giving us temporary relief from like, either economic pain that we're feeling or we're susceptible to becoming addicted to it because we want more economic optionality. So there is like I guess what I'm thinking too is isn't it logical to think that we replace the drug that we're addicted to with a better one over time? Because like Bitcoin does provide that relief from economic pain or pain in life in general in a lot of ways, in a much better way. It's like a true medicine as opposed to I don't know some sort of drug that's given. It's like a high time preference drug versus a low time preference drug. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, and as we said, we can get addicted to anything. And addiction has this bad connotation that we can get addicted to the beautiful stuff. I am addicted to my wife. I was addicted to Fiat, but now I'm addicted to Bitcoin. Like it, we can develop those addictions, but we can use our intentionality to be conscious about are they programming us or are we programming us to be on autopilot, but it is for our interest. And the best thing in Bitcoin is that I call it selfish altruism. because we're on the same standard, just like the digits for length. If I say 1 kilometer or 1 mile, we all understand this. But
Can I jump
if
in
I
on that
say
actually? Because
yes,
that's a point I wanted to make earlier, and I to really reinforce what you are saying. I think this is so important, and we haven't talked about it enough. I pulled this up on the LLM though, but I had read this a long time ago that all of the international system of units, which is, like the meter, the second, the kilogram, the ampere, the candela, the mole, Kelvin for temperature, the light year, parsec, and Planck units. All of these are like the international standard units of measurement. And to your earlier point about Bitcoin being based in reality, whereas fiat is not, all of those standards of measurement are defined either directly or indirectly by the speed of light. So the meter is the simplest one, right? It's defined by the speed light travels, over a certain period of time, and then from that you get all these other ones that are indirectly defined by the speed of light. The second, kilogram, ampere, candela, mole, and Kelvin, and the parsec, which is like a very large distance, like astronomical distance. And then you also have the light year and Planck units that are also directly defined by the speed of light. So all of these standard units of measurement by which we coordinate all of our activities, at least spatially and temporally, they're all rooted in the reality of light speed, right? It's not like nature's speed limit. We didn't make it up. It just exists. It's something we discovered. And so I think that's a good framing for Bitcoin versus fiat, right? It's like if you want to, you need to have and people get people semantically quibble about this too because money's not technically a measurement system because value is subjective, so it's more so an appraisal system than a measurement system. But nonetheless, you would want this objective, unshakable frame for the appraisal of value, right? That's rooted in reality, that's incorruptible, that's something that humans can't just change willy-nilly by fiat. And I don't know, it's hard to overstate the importance of that. It's like we've never had gold was the proxy for that previously, but even that obviously has its problems, and is subject to distortions and whatnot. But Bitcoin seems to really become like another standard, a universal standard of measurement, in this case for economic value, even though measurement is not exactly the right word.
yeah, and that's what my central point in the article actually is, that this is the key difference between not only Bitcoin and all the altcoins, but Bitcoin and everything else that is trying to measure value. Because everything else, bonds, stocks, everything is based on fiat. And fiat is disconnected from reality. That means that it's not measuring value. It's just some approximation, is probably the closest thing that we can get to. But Bitcoin is based in reality. The only thing is that the network effect of it is not 8 billion people like the meter, like the mile, like everything else. So we need to go through that phase of the network being one humanity on the same standard. And one also note that I do believe that Bitcoin will be the only one. There won't be side-by-side networks, let's say like the mile and the kilometer. Because if those networks, let's say in America, you use the miles, inches, and stuff like that. But Bitcoin is a bit different, because if you use Bitcoin, you will have more over time. Imagine that every time that you travel with miles, you have a little bit more than somebody traveling with kilometers. So that will take effect over time, and this will be the global standard of humanity for how we measure value in the future. So that's my central point, and this is how I differentiate everything from everything else. I'm sorry, Bitcoin from everything else.
Yeah, I was listening to your conversation, one of the conversations that you had, and you talked about Jeff Booth and how he said there's no, Booth says there's no they, it's just us. And I think that you disagreed with that. And so do you think that this conundrum we find ourselves in where we're addicted to digits in this fiat system and we're supporting it through our energy. Do you think that's by design, or do you think that was just circumstantial and something that unfolded due to the fact in order to scale the global economy, we needed a derivative system because gold was physical? Do you think it's both, or do you think it's one versus the other?
Okay, so I would say that uh, there are a few things that I would say here. Is that, first of all, in this system, the design, I believe, was malice, but not with this, oh, I'm going to rule the world type of malice, but from the perspective, I'm selfish, so I will think about myself before others. And that grew over a century. And now this is where we are. So when they set up the thing in Jekyll Island and wherever all the other central banks came in, it comes from the perspective of survival. And it comes from the perspective, I need to take care of myself first. And I will put some other costs to others. So it prioritized selfishness over the network, over being on the same standard, is how I personally think it is. As I said, that for me is malice, because if, let's say, we are in a war, we have this tendency to survive, but this wars and all conflicts is, again, separating all of us. But if we can coordinate over time, I can come on the right time and date on the What is Money show. But if I'm wrong, we both suffer. If I'm right, we both benefit. And this is what Bitcoin will give to all of us, that we are on the exact same standard. And now we are one entity, we are one humanity, one economy over the world, not segregate more and more and more to it. So that was the long answer that I believe it's unintentional, huge misunderstanding of what would be the consequences when they set it up. But because it's from selfishness, I do believe this is malice and not I want to give something to other people.
Makes sense.
You brought up war a couple of times so far in the conversation. I wonder if it's too early. You also brought up Jason Lowery. Just to ask your views on Bitcoin's overall impact on global warfare over long time horizons. You know, I would say it's a pretty hotly debated topic, even within, well, specifically within Bitcoin circles. Like some people think, yeah, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Some people think it's going to make war unaffordable or go away. And, you know, there's a lot of gradations in between. I wonder if you have certain thoughts you could share about that, or maybe just views on, you know, Lowery's SoftWar thesis in general.
Sure. Uh, I'll, I'll give some context and I'll tell you exactly why I would say that I went into Bitcoin very hard and deep. It was because of my personal experience. And when I reached out to Eric, this is how I connected because of his story. But to tell my story, and it relates to the war thing, so I'll get to it. So in 2008, we kind of know what happened. The Fiat design got to a point that they needed to manipulate harder because the system was going to collapse on its own weight. But everybody thinks that the financial stuff are bad. And I also mentioned Lebanon. We have no idea what they experienced. But what I experienced because of 2008 is that over time, our financial in my family, my mother was the business lady and the main provider for my family when I was a kid. And in 2008, when that thing happened, she started to budget here and there. And the person next to her didn't actually work at that point, and that intensified arguments and all sorts of stuff. And in 2013, at the end of it, she said, "That's enough. I want a divorce." And in right after that, a few months after that, my stepfather decided to kidnap and kill her. And that for me is a second order consequence of what this manipulation of digits can contribute. And I was avoiding studying Bitcoin for more than a year. As I told you, my lady was chasing me to make money about this, and I associated it with the bad stuff, with drug money, with scamming people. So the propaganda was working on me just because I was addicted to the other stuff. But when I finally capitulated and said, I'm going to study it, then I went, as I told you, really deep into figuring all the crypto out. And when I found your show, the thing that I connected to the most were the Sailor series, because back then he was not a politician. He was just an engineer, and I liked him. Now I don't. Jeff Booth was the second thing because, again, he's talking from the technology perspective. But when I heard Jason Larry's thesis, I said, this is fucking it. This is what I lived through. He is talking about nation state wars, but I experienced it on not on a national level, on a personal level, between trust and reality and power projection. And when I connected that, I said, I don't care what I have to do in this space, but I have to contribute. And this is where I went really, really deep to devote the rest of my career in service of Bitcoin and fellow humanity. But I'll stop here just so we can comment, and then I can take it further with the war question itself.
I just thank you. First of all, that's
Yeah.
extremely courageous to share that story, first of all, and then very moving at the same time that you were able to take traumatic personal experience and to alchemize that into something so important, right? To make it your life's mission to contribute to Bitcoin and to connect those dots. You know, it's so easy for people to go through personal trauma, especially of the variety you described, and just assign, oh, this person was crazy or this person was that. But it's like you often need to zoom out, right? And look at the circumstances those people were in, the context, the incentives, the whatever. And yeah, I mean that's you know, again, it's like that's something I keep trying to come back to on this show. It's like I'm not here to point out good guys, bad guys. You know, it's just like no, we've poured ourselves as a species into the wrong container. There's that old saying that human nature is like water; it takes the shape of its container. And it's like when you put human nature in the wrong container, and you could use other metaphors, right? You put the plant in the wrong soil, whatever you want to use, you get bad outcomes, right? It's like it's not surprising or it's not rocket science. So, you know, I'm sorry. I'm deeply sorry that you went through that experience. I think we all three of us have mother wounds, indirectly related to fiat. And so, yeah, just thank you for sharing that. If you're anything like me, you understand that Bitcoin is something we can use every day to connect, to collaborate, and to build stronger, freer communities. As true Bitcoiners, you all know we are each responsible for onboarding more Bitcoiners. That's why I chose to partner with Cowbolt, an expense splitting app that settles in Bitcoin. It can be as simple as splitting a dinner bill. Your friend covers dinner and you reimburse them, but you send it back to him in Bitcoin. Now your friend has their first sats, and as I always say, where your money goes, the mind follows. By using Cowbolt to get Bitcoin into the hands of your friends and family, you can help us orange pill the world. Cowbolt is built to let you split costs, share expenses, and settle instantly, while always keeping full control of your keys. Cowbolt is simple, social, non-custodial, exactly how Bitcoin was meant to be used. If you're serious about Bitcoin, it's time to act like it. Download Cowbolt today on iOS or Android. To learn more, go to cowbolt.com. Again, that's Cowbolt, COWBOLT.com. Forget multivitamins and other supplements. Animal organs are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. You can get 100 times more nutrients from organs than you can from muscle meats. But the problem with eating organs is that they are difficult to find in stores, they are difficult to prepare, and even when they are prepared well, they often don't taste great. Thankfully, Heart and Soil Supplements has made consuming organ meats so much easier by providing powderized organs in capsule form. Organ meats include everything your body needs to thrive: vitamins, minerals, peptides, proteins, and growth factors. This is why organ meats were the most prized foods for our ancestors. Fortunately for us, Heart and Soil makes these treasured foods easily accessible. So go to heartandsoil.co today and use discount code BREEDLOVE to get started on your journey to optimal health and vitality. Again, that's heartandsoil.co, discount code BREEDLOVE.
Thank you. And as I said, this is for me a full circle because I'm extremely grateful that you invited those guests, that it wasn't just an hour talking, but you went deep into it. And my particular addiction is that when I latch onto something that I want to study, I am fully immersed, and this is my addiction. If something grabs my attention, I don't just, oh, I want the soundbite, I want the Rio, I want the this and that. And as I told you, like I went 16 or 17 days for, I took my Christmas vacation and I did nothing else. And when I heard Jason Larry about this, then I was like, I don't care my relatives if they understand Bitcoin or not. Because back then it was a very big struggle to explain what I understood in my bones. Like I couldn't put it into words. Jason was saying into words what I have experienced. And I had no idea why this thing happened. And not to contribute everything to 2008, the financial crisis. Obviously, my father was a bit of a psychopath before that and after that. But if you create the environment where you push people a certain way, then I definitely say that this contributed to everything, because I'm very, very fearful what would happen if this next financial crisis it's even harder and people don't have Bitcoin. What would happen then? Those type of psychopaths will respond in the manner that they actually are used to. And then other regular people will have to respond back to them. And then we get actually to those local conflicts, to nation conflicts. And now we get into the Jason Larry's thesis, like, if we don't get on the same standard and we are segregated, separated, and we are selfish, that we want to survive before somebody else, we will continue on that path into this design. And this is nature. The only way out of it, if we find a sneaky way that we get on the same standard where humanity is one entity, because now we are absolutely not. We are individuals, we are countrymen, we are this race, that race, whatever segregation they do. And it's becoming worse and worse because we are forced to survive more and more. Our survival is more and more questionable. And this is forcing us again, just like my father, to be more of what he is, to be more in survival mode. And when I had to respond, the bad thing is getting even worse, that even after he did the killing, in Bulgaria, the black market found out that my mother had some assets. And I would say 99% of all the assets my mother had were, I would say, not stolen all of it, but I didn't inherit almost anything, and neither did my sister. I had to pay for lawyers, I had to bribe some people so we're not killed. Also, I had to do this and that and all sorts of stuff to manage the situation because, as I said, I didn't want to trust somebody I was dealing with the reality, and I viscerally understood what Jason was saying, that I needed to play the power projection game because the bullet doesn't care. The knife doesn't care of what it should be, moral, ethical, or everything else. Nature doesn't care. You have to deal with it, whether you like it to call it war, warfare, or power projection, or whatever you may do it. But when I dealt with this, and Jason put into words my experience, then it radicalized me so hard, and I can't even explain it with just words. Just like for anybody, if you go bench press a certain weight, I may talk for hours what it is, but if you actually go do it, then you physically, emotionally, and all sorts of understand. So anybody that didn't have this experience can't understand me. Anybody that is trashing on Jason that didn't actually went to war and understand the blood cost that so many people pay, like they would say, oh, Bitcoin is money only or information only. But this is limiting what everything else it is. It's just like saying, let's say, a kilometer is just a measurement. No, a kilometer is so much more beyond its abstractional thing. So, yeah, I'm just riffing at this point, so I'll give it back to you guys.
Yeah, I want to jump in and just add something. I don't know if I've shared this publicly. Maybe you and I talked about this a year and a half ago, Ivan. But when my mother committed suicide, it happened 4 or 5 months after my stepfather and my mother decided that they were going to get a divorce. And there was a lot of suspicious things that happened the day that I actually found her in a coma. She had ingested a bunch of barbiturates in an attempt to commit suicide. And so I found her on the bed. She has this glass of water with these pills crushed up in it. And my stepfather apparently had been moving out of the house at the time. He had been back and forth picking up some stuff. I so happened to go to my mother's house, which was like a mile and a half away from the apartment that I was in, to pick up some stuff that I had in my old bedroom, and I found her. But the economic incentive there. So you had this divorce, and he had, I don't know, he was decently wealthy. And so if they got divorced, she would have ended up with half or close to, or whatever it was, of the assets there. So that squabble or whatever over the resources really skewed and also created this idea that several of my family members were convinced that there was foul play and that he had potentially killed her. I don't necessarily know if that's the case, and I don't spend much of my life thinking about that. But I have had the thought, like, look, if there was, a Bitcoin treasury within the family, and that those assets were clearly defined as to who they would go to, and similarly as you, like, I actually had to take my stepfather to court as a 21-year-old kid and go through a probate trial that I funded myself based upon a handwritten will that my mother had given me like 3 months before she died. And the end result was that me and my two brothers got nothing, and everything that was communal property within the marriage went to my stepfather. So yeah, I could relate to your story there in some ways. Not quite as extreme, but yeah, it's definitely traumatic in its ways.
It's definitely extreme. Like the loss of the person that gave you life, it's very rarely that you wouldn't cherish this, even if the relationship wasn't good or anything. It's a very special thing on a soul level, if I can say this. But we're connected on this also, that me going through this experience, my mother kind of a little bit anticipated that this could be an end result. And she also gave a will. Our laws in our Fiat country, Bulgaria, are a bit different about the inheritance. But I say this, your will in inheritance, your will is not your will, is what the state allows it to be. Because my mother had a will, and it turns out that based on the laws, she couldn't leave it the way that she wanted. And I had to challenge my mother's killer because his conviction took 7 years to be fully convicted, and he was challenging everything. And what radicalized me and why I kick myself for life probably is that I heard about Bitcoin in 2013. And if I understood then that if all her assets were in Bitcoin, she could leave them however she wanted, whether she decided to die with them, it's her actual will. But the thing is that even if that thing happened and me and my sister got nothing, uh, those assets would not go to fund the psychopaths, the killers. What is happening right now with all the financial instruments that are happening? Those people that are very close to the printer are, for me, are extreme psychopaths because they don't understand that they're extracting from the bottom and putting it on them. Uh, Probably some do understand it, but this is for me a crime against humanity, like a cliche. But definitely, this is exactly what I understood, and the penny drop for me is that if all her assets were in Bitcoin, she could decide what they were, but not only that, it would not get into the hands of the people that were doing the crime.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
guys, um, yeah, thank you both for sharing that because it's just so like it's something we don't do enough of on this show, actually. Is like we talk about the philosophical depths and the historical depths and some of the technological depths of money, but someone said this to me once and it really stuck. It was like, money is one of the most emotional things in our lives. It's motivating crimes of passion and crimes of, criminality at different scales, right? And so for you to like share that, and it is one of these things. It's like it's one thing to read Jason Lowery's thesis, but that's like maybe you get it at the propositional level, but until you've lived through that and you've been through it in your flesh and your bone, then you don't gain that level of appreciation for what he's saying, right? That it's yeah, that we are like I mean, you could almost like, if I want to be tongue in cheek about it, I'd say like we're the monkeys that discovered money. Like we are just acting like these animals, but we have these incentive systems, and not just money. There's other things, right? Language and social institutions, et cetera, that help pull us out of our animalistic nature and towards becoming more human, more civilized. But if that tool, it itself becomes corrupted, then it makes perfect sense that we fall backward, right? It's like it's a thing that's pulling us out of our animality. If all of a sudden it gets corrupted by the animality somehow and someone's using it to extract from others, well, then of course we all fall backwards, right? Where the whole process of civilization or the evolution of consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that we've been doing for, you know, at a really sharp curve for the last 5,000 years, right? We've gone from ancient pharaoh god kings to, constitutional republics. It's better, right? We have more freedom, we have higher standards of living, we have more technology, but that's all facilitated by we use standards earlier. They're basically standards, right? Like is a standard, money is a standard, there's standards of measurement. There's all these different standardization systems that let us cooperate and resolve our disputes peacefully rather than violently. And to how can you overstate the importance of that? Like that is the whole, if you want to be human and you want to have children and you want to create a world that's better for your children than it was for you, then you need all of these things to be moving forward, not regressing. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know what money runs really deep, it runs deep. It's not just an idea, it's not just technology even. It's like it's integrated into us, into our minds, into our behaviors. And I think these experiences you guys have shared are perfect examples of that.
Yeah. And it is, again, it is an idea, just like your writings about the invention of zero. It is an idea, but it has a profound impact. There are second, third, fourth order of effects because of that idea, because as Jeff Booth says, like it's only we when we are on the same standard. But in my digital addiction pandemic, I segregate those things that in Fiat, they are digit lords, what I call them, the people that have actual access to create digits out of nothing and put it in some currency, and you go your fix this way. Digit dealers, bond sellers, stock options, financial people, and all sorts of things, and the digit addicts. That is the system that we live in. And in order for the digit addicts to get better, they have to become psychopaths. They have to become closer to the printer. So you're not preyed upon, but you start preying upon people. Like, I hate this. And if you get on the one standard, who loses if we have the one measurement of meter? Like, absolutely nobody. And this is what is going to give us a global cooperation on value. Like, and this is what at stake here. It's not about the asset. The asset is, again, not grasping all of it. And that's why I say that I love the series that you did with Sailor, with Jeff Booth, with Jason Larry, with anybody else, that it's grasping this idea of Bitcoin, but it has completely different points of view, and you can watch every point of view in a systematic way, and you can give this to the world that is just, we can't put into words. Again, we are living through it. I have no idea what was going through people's minds when we were inventing the digit itself. Like, I watched a documentary that it took us to get to the Arabic numbers from 1 to 9. It took us 1,000 years. And now we are living through something, and it's possible that we're going to see it being from zero to being almost fully developed in one lifetime. And we are going to see it. Like, we are very, very lucky. And all of us that are really understanding it are not going back to fiat. I talked in my last meetup here in Bulgaria that our National Revenue Agency here was looking for a crypto auditor, and nobody applied for that job because how am I not only going to get paid less? And I said, this is not about, again, the money. It is about, I'm against this whole system. I'm unplugged, and me voluntarily to go back in to prey upon other people that actually are going to opt out. Yeah, it's just, we're very, very lucky. And also we have a great responsibility, because for me, it's not money. For me, it's life and death. And a lot of people will die, just like, again, saying in Lebanon, just like my mother did, just like in all sorts of ways. But if we get stuck into this, oh, we'll get rich, we're going to miss all of it.
Would you rather have 1 Bitcoin today or 2 Bitcoin a few years from now? Bitcoin mining is a tried and true strategy for accumulating Bitcoin. Over a 2 to 4 year time frame, successful miners have consistently accumulated more Bitcoin than they otherwise would with a traditional dollar cost average strategy. Blockware mining as a service enables you to start mining Bitcoin from your laptop. Blockware handles everything from securing the miners to sourcing low-cost power to configuring the mining pool. They do it all. Plus, with Blockware's one-of-a-kind mining marketplace, you can buy and sell live Bitcoin miners with just a few keystrokes. In this marketplace, buyers get to purchase live machines at vetted facilities, enabling them to mine with zero lead time. And sellers get the opportunity to liquidate their machines and hosting contracts at will. This means you can mine Bitcoin with zero long-term commitment and high liquidity on your mining rigs. Blockware will even cover your energy bill for 1 week per mining rig when you sign up at mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. Again, that's 1 free week of Bitcoin mining at mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. www.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. And on top of this offer, you can also use code BREEDLOVE to get $100 off your first mining rig with Blockware Solutions. Have you ever wanted to start a business in the Bitcoin space? If so, then the Wolf Startup Accelerator could be for you. Wolf is the first startup accelerator dedicated exclusively to businesses developing in the Bitcoin Lightning Network. 4 times each year, Wolf brings teams from around the world to New York City to work with like-minded entrepreneurs, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with Bitcoin and Lightning. The program is designed to help early-stage companies achieve product-market fit, develop their brand, secure early-stage funding, and grow businesses that fuel the global adoption of Bitcoin. Go to wolfnyc.com to learn more or apply today. Again, that's Wolf, WOLFNYC.com. Trying to get people to play win-win games, right? And get rid of all the win-lose games. But, it's basically what economics is a win-win game, right? The division of labor, people can both benefit by trading consensually with one another. But once you violate the principle of consent, then you're, by definition, you're in a win-lose game, right? Someone's gain is someone else's loss. And so it seems like the whole trick is like, how do we just get people to honor this very simple and obvious principle of consent, right? We already know this, right? The difference between sex and rape is consent. The difference between a job and slavery is consent. The difference between, a transaction and taxation is consent. So it's like, so how do we, it's one thing, again, to talk about it, but we need incentives that actually induce people to act accordingly, right? It's not enough to just talk about it. We have to really, truly be about it. And there's this other game too that's like the imitation game, right? Where, not to be too pessimistic about it, but I think it would be fair to say that humans, broadly speaking, are just opportunists that will do whatever activity is profitable regardless of its moral quality. Now, that's not to say everyone will do it, but there's someone that's going to fill the niche, right? If being a mafia boss or harvesting people's organs is something that's profitable, I'm not saying everyone in the world is going to apply for that job or try to do it, but someone is inevitably going to find that niche and they're going to exploit it. And so we can't change that. The imitation part of that is like, then you have people imitating the wealth acquisition strategies that are successful. So if someone becomes a successful mafia boss, he's more likely to inspire other future people to try and become mafia bosses. And then we get this intergenerational win-lose game problem, right? Spreading through the imitation game. And so we can't change that, right? We can't change our capacity to imitate. We can't change. You can't just like pass a law or even start a religion that encourages everyone to just behave consensually. Like, of course, all these things help, but they never fully get rid of that inherent opportunism that everyone has. And so the only thing we can do is try to re-engineer what wealth acquisition strategies work and which ones don't work. Right. And this is where Bitcoin is so profound. It's like, if you digitize this wealth and you make it uninflatable, then you give people a very economically defensible property right. It's very cheap to preserve your purchasing power over time, very cheap to defend it from would-be exploiters, let's say. And then that is what induces people. That whole niche of exploitation goes away to some extent, right? Not completely, but to some extent, it's dampened at least. And then anyone that would exploit that niche is now forced to go out and be an entrepreneur instead, right? To do something on the principle of consent, right? Build a business or a product or a service that's valuable to other people that people will willingly trade their time and energy for. So anyways, I feel like we talk about that like all the time on the show, but it can't be over communicated. Like this is the game. This is the game, people. This is the human game. This is the civilization game. And this is why Bitcoin is so central to it.
There is another way. if I may so. And I am very, very lucky that right now I work in the space for 2 years. And again, look, even I consider myself lucky in my life because out of that experience, I understood something very deeply. But now I would not trade my life for anything because I became a father 9 months ago and I met my soulmate. I understand how to manage the fiat system and how to play the Bitcoin system. And if I didn't have that experience, probably I would not understand Bitcoin even now. So I cannot appreciate the good things that are in my life because now I can contrast them with what I had. But to go back to what you were saying, that there is another way. Communication is, as we talked, very superficial and it doesn't land. We have to give people experiences. And in the company that I'm currently in, we focus on the Lightning Network infrastructure. I'm with Breez, and actually Jeff Booth had a finger in me meeting the team and then deciding to shake hands and start working. But I'll say it through an experience in the company. In the company, we're familiar, the market is familiar because of our app. We were first, Breez is the first company that brought the notion to Lightning service providers. And we created the Breez wallet, as people call it. But in the app itself, there's a podcasting player and there's a POS system. And when it was a wallet and the team was doing the technology and in a very Bitcoiner OG way that there's no shitcoins, there's no let's make some money, but the company is founded on the notion that we want to bring Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. And when the technology was released into the app, nobody cared. Like we could talk about it, but nobody cared. But when the team implemented in the application a podcasting player, then the usage of the application grew an order of magnitude because this is the real value in people's lives. And this is what we should do. Yes, talking about it is very important. I wouldn't be here, as I told you, if you didn't produce those series. But that is the superficial stuff. Now we have to build products and ship them to where people are to actually experience the goodness of Bitcoin. And they know nothing about it, but they will benefit. Not only that they'll benefit, but because they benefit, we benefit because we are on the same standard. And this is how I believe is the next phase, that talking about it, if somebody decides today, I'm going to learn about Bitcoin, I think it's more than enough if you want to actually study it. Because in 2013, there was almost nothing. If you're not cypherpunk or in particular forums, it was going to be very, very hard. But now you can understand it. The next phase is bring those products. And the market is right now trying to figure out what is the right solution. And this is what we're focused in Breez, that we understood. User experience is what brings users into this network. If the experience is good, they will stay. If the experience is bad, they will leave. And I think we have that benefit that the user experience in fiat is becoming progressively worse. And the Bitcoin experience, it's not as good in some areas, but it's increasingly better. So over time, people will jump into this ship. And that's what I wanted to say, that we should focus now on bringing those user experiences to people and stop convincing them that this is something.
Yeah, that actually, I like that. And that brings to mind something I wanted to ask you. working on Lightning. So I guess there's a few questions within this. Booth speaks to this often. If Bitcoin is not a medium of exchange, he has concerns that it's going to fail. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that because there is the idea that typically something becomes a store of value before it becomes a medium of exchange. But then the idea that as long as the main chain stays decentralized and secure, it's inevitable that it reprices the world. And so, how do you think the best way for us to get onto a Bitcoin standard is? Do you think that's inevitable? I mean, obviously, it's going to require some actions, but do you think that the incentive vortex that is Bitcoin is so powerful that it's going to suck us into it regardless? Or do you think that we have a real issue and almost something to be concerned about where, there's a call to action, like we need to be acting, developing this stuff. And that kind of ties in a little bit too with this idea with the inscriptions. Do you think that blockchain bloat incentivizes people to use Lightning? So I know that there's a lot of questions in there, but it's kind of all the stuff that's been running through my head as we've been having this conversation.
I would say that just because we found Bitcoin, that doesn't mean that entropy will stop. So a lot of things will attack this system. We are trying to get on the same standard, but we are still going to fight entropy. But the good thing is that we have, how do I call this in English? That we have the wind is in our favor. So we have a little bit of an advantage because of the perception of number going up in fiat terms, because everybody that's outside of Bitcoin measures everything in fiat terms. So when they see number going up, we have that going for us. But if we now are going to ship products that are user experience and they are on par with fiat, not only on par, but I have a 6-article series that we can go so much beyond the fiat limitations of banking that we are going to actually crush the fiat experience. But we need a lot of work on the technology side to get beyond that. So what you said, it's not inevitable because it will require from people in Bitcoin to push those experiences, products, to experiment and all those sorts of stuff so we get more people in. But people like me are never going back in any shape or form. The other thing that I also say is that the fiat babies are declining, the Bitcoin babies are increasing. So we have the second and third generations also going for our side. But you have to be prepared to go through very big struggles, to violent shifts. And I hope that Bitcoin becomes more volatile because it will shake out the people that are in ETFs and all sorts of stuff that are used to a particular way of fiat experience. Because if we are hardcore cypherpunks, we can create Bitcoin. If we're not, we will create something like, oh, let's dabble into some abstractional things again, whether that's inscriptions or everything else. It is in the ecosystem, but be careful what you wish for. So we have to be just prepared for actual, let's say not actual war, but be prepared for power projection to continue, because entropy will not stop just because we found the right thing that will help us.
So you're concerned about a lot of turbulence through the transaction or transition.
I'm concerned for the people that are not in Bitcoin, but people that are in Bitcoin, we cooperate together. And when people say bear market in Bitcoin, I'm like, what bear market? The quality of people that I connect to that we can transact it's completely different universe than what I lived into the fiat experience. You have to base yourself not in what the price of Bitcoin is. You have to base on how is this tool going to increase the value of my experiences in my personal life? Because if you make a list of everything that you want to have in your life, today it will be 50 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin, or doesn't matter. But the point is, start with the life that you want to have and use Bitcoin to achieve it, and not, oh, I'm going to have the most Bitcoin and I die without having the experiences that I want. And I am going to live under a bridge or anything just because Bitcoin is the most valuable thing. Bitcoin will stay the most valuable thing, and you're going to miss on living the life that you want. Then did Bitcoin actually achieve its purpose for your life? I would say it's very bad, but we get that again addicted to, oh, the number will go up any day now, so you miss on living your life. So those are my thoughts there. I hope volatility increases because it shake out the people that don't understand it yet. Because like Jason is saying, going back to him, nature does not care. You either have consequences of power projection, or you made the right bet and you can get prepared for it. If you made the wrong bet, you suffer the real physical cost consequences. And this is what's happening with fiat, that the real physical consequences of printing money, it doesn't matter what they're going to try to talk to us about. We experience the badness, but we don't understand it in our head. And this is what I want to do. Like, I want to give people experience of Bitcoin, and that is good, even if they don't understand it. We'll bring them in this way.
So that's a perfect segue back, actually, because I think as you finished your original story about your mom, you said you had more to say about Lowery, his thesis on power projection, and Bitcoin's impact on global warfare going forward. Um, would you mind sharing some of those thoughts?
Well, for as I said, I experienced it on a personal level, but like he said, on the national perspective, is if you create user experiences that are on the same standard. Right now, the Bitcoin standard that we experience is on the price itself. The most attractive thing of Bitcoin still is its fiat price. Very few understand the freedom of it. But if you experience Bitcoin with ease of use and you know how to navigate it, as I said, you experience the freedom when you use it, and you experience the lack of when you track the price. I don't have enough. But going back to the word, when you do this over time, and one particular set of people will start living lives of not only freedom, but love, beauty, and all the things that are kind of, again, a standard for humanity that we all want. And the other side will separate more and more itself, and they're going to blame others. And if that particular group becomes more powerful, then it will start fighting violently against any group of people just to survive. And we see how many wars are now and how many wars were 150 years ago. There were wars in those years, but I believe that this day wars are more because of this separation in nations. And the power projection is a game that's played over 3 million years, as Jason was saying, that we started from a soup of cells. And when two cells got stuck together, now they can go fight. And he said the best power projection game is to get stuck with something. Bitcoin is getting us stuck on the same standard, just like the length, again, temperature, and everything else. And if it's not only that if you suffer, I suffer, but if I attack you, that means I'm attacking myself, because now we are one entity. We are one humanity. So we are not going to do that. And we're going to find other ways of coordinating. Because if I want the best thing, and I see, going back to my personal example, if my father knew that if he kills my mother and that Bitcoin dies with her, it does not guarantee that the end result will not be the same. But I know that he was going to think about whether I do it or not. And if you just scale that on a national level and you attack some country that has a lot of Bitcoin and you don't have any, like that's the separation. But if we both have Bitcoin, it completely changes everything. That if I attack you, I'm attacking myself. So do I want that nation not to pay me for the goods and services, or I want to just bomb it and have no value into the world? Because if we cooperate and you provide some service or product to me, I benefit. I may give you some form of value, whether that's money, barter, service, or anything else. It's still I want selfishly, but because we cooperate, it's selfish altruism. And Bitcoin will give that to us. But when we grow out of the store of value phase and we grow into the medium of exchange, because I don't think we have to wait for the store of value. Because if right now somebody says, I will accept Bitcoin, this is his store of value play that he will start with medium of exchange and he will attract people giving him Bitcoin. So it's not first one and then the other. I also do agree a little bit with Saifedean that personally, yeah, you will start accumulating more because everything is in fiat. My biggest fear when I understood Bitcoin is that when you actually understand Bitcoin and you realize I have zero, that is a fearful thing. People want to accumulate a little bit. I do understand that. But medium of exchange has to happen because if it doesn't, that means we can be manipulated again. Some class of people, some group of people will accumulate a lot because of the fiat tools. We, again, know about some entities and one particular person that is doing this. But on the Bitcoin standard, we're on the same level. And it's just, we have to get there as fast as we can, as any means necessary, in my particular point of view.
Bitcoin custody is evolving. Both self-custody and single third-party custody come with significant risk and trade-offs. Onramp is pioneering a new standard, multi-institution custody, which eliminates single points of failure, adding fault tolerance and redundancy to your setup. Onramp secures your Bitcoin in a segregated cold storage multi-sig vault guarded by 3 independent institutional-grade custodians, none of which that have unilateral control over your assets. More than just security, Onramp simplifies inheritance and estate planning, ensuring your Bitcoin wealth moves seamlessly to your loved ones without the risk and complexities of self-custody. Easily designate beneficiaries right in the Onramp dashboard, eliminating the need for unreliable treasure maps or other complex key-sharing schemes. You can also avoid the probate process and ensure your heirs receive their Bitcoin securely with legal title transfers designed to keep your wealth intact for generations. As Bitcoin continues to appreciate, Onramp helps you seamlessly access financial services, from inheritance and insurance to trading, loans, IRAs, and more, all without compromising on security. And importantly, the onboarding process is fast and frictionless. I set up my own Onramp account, and it was far easier than dealing with hardware wallets or traditional self-custody setups. The team walked me through everything step by step, making sure I had a secure, reliant setup for my Bitcoin wealth. Secure your generational wealth with confidence. Schedule a consultation with the Onramp team today at onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. Again, that's onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. One of my highest health priorities is keeping my brain in top shape. To take care of my brain power, I do many things, such as striving to read, write, exercise, and meditate daily. One of the latest tools in my brain power toolkit is Mind Lab Pro. MindLab Pro is a nootropic supplement that is scientifically proven to enhance your brain power. When I take MindLab Pro, my mind feels like it has a better grip on the world, my thinking is more lucid, and the articulation of my speech is radically improved. MindLab Pro has been tested in rigorous, double-blind, placebo-controlled human trials and has been proven to enhance brain power for users in every age group. MindLab Pro is an advanced formulation of 11 nootropic ingredients and is backed by research from over 1,400 human trials conducted over the past 32 years. So if you're looking to enhance your brain power, MindLab Pro is an excellent solution. Go to mindlabpro.com/breedlove to start enhancing your brain power today. Again, that's mindlabpro.com/breedlove. Thinking too, not to dwell on your personal situation, but just to think through one more permutation of it. Like, had your father, if your mother, for instance, had your Bitcoin if she had her Bitcoin in a time lock, let's say, right, and she had to sign a message every 6 months or something like that, otherwise it would be released to whoever her heirs were. If your father knew that, right, that, oh, if I kill this woman, her assets are not going to me, they're just going to go to her children. That would almost, perhaps, obviously the devil's always in the details, but perhaps that would have even been a disincentive to commit that crime, because he would have then known, oh, well, then her children are going to have all this money to then come after me. And so, anyways, it's speculation, of course, but it's one thing that's doesn't seem very controversial to me is that it's definitely better than what we have now, right? Just to give people more options, at least lets us self-organize in ways that hopefully prevent or disincentivize such horrendous criminal acts.
Yeah, and this is the main point. What exactly what you said is not only that I would get the money. Even if the money died, the main point for me in the fiat system that we live in is that the psychopaths have a business model about preying upon other people.
Right.
And I want to defend the psychopaths.
Yeah.
That is it. Even though we have that term going for us as Bitcoiners, that we are those psychopaths. But this is
Defunding
the
the
thing
state.
that will stop wars. This is the thing that will stop wars, because the regular, normal people will be the last thing that they will do to go and kill a fellow human. There will be a particular very particular situation for me to actually kill somebody. And the psychopath is completely different. They will do it in a heartbeat. And if they can profit from it, that's a business model.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to end. That thing alone is the thing that I want to do. Like, I want to be surrounded by people that the psychopaths lose if they are in our community. This is enough. We don't have to fix all the other problems, but this thing alone, and we'll figure out that even those psychopaths we can cure them out of their addiction, that they can prey upon other people, and they can actually be forced to cooperate, because that's again the thing that if you're forced to cooperate and profit, and if you don't cooperate and lose, over time people will figure it out.
Yeah, I was going to say that as I've been thinking about that a bit as we've been talking. Bitcoin is forcing cooperation. And one of the things that I get excited about is the same thing that caused the world to be so broken through the corruption of money, that force to get the most you can for the least. The sociopaths who are willing to lie, cheat, steal, and kill have an advantage. I actually refer to this from time to time as being like a game theoretic fuckedness. Like it's a problem if you're playing in a game where the person who's dishonest has the market advantage over you. That creates a real problem. The thing that I get excited about is it's that same that same desire to get the most for the least energy expenditure is what's going to draw these sociopaths into the Bitcoin network because it's how they're going to get the most for the least. That's something that excites me. I do think that yeah, it's the same forces that created the problems that we have now with this new technological solution. It's like digital Trojan horse. That same force is what's going to, with this new protocol, is what's going to create and hopefully usher in the world of abundance and consent that we all want, or at least the non-sociopaths want so badly.
Yeah. And I hope, again, Bitcoin is attacked all the time because this is what actually is going to grow our muscles and our thinking properly about it. Because if we become lethargic and lazy, if we become dependent on the salary that we have from only one place, this is how you get addicted to it. And if I have an attack, am forced to respond. Even if I'm not prepared, I'm forced to respond. But if I'm in a system that is designed to survive, now I have the benefit of that system working for me. I have the benefit of all the people that are in this system to be on my side. So we go fight as one entity. And no wonder why the people that attacked this system lost at the end, because that system is not staying still. It's not something that, yeah, I can calculate what is my cost to attack it and then the benefit. We are humans and we respond just like in every sport that you have to strategize, that we adapt based on the previous action, or we can project into the future with our minds, but we adapt based on the environment. And anybody that attacks this system, I'll, I like it because it keeps us on our toes, but it forces us to get stronger and stronger because I don't want to get used to 2% inflation. Like, this is exactly how bad things happen, because if they can sneak something that's very, very tiny, but in this system, and you play it over 50, 100 years, then we lost the plot at all. Not only lost the plot, but we didn't do the actions to prevent it. So we just have to stay on the same side, and we have to go on wars. But the beautiful thing is that those wars are bloodless. It's just value wars.
Yeah, I mean, we have like some precedent for this in capitalism, right? That we had this ideology that channeled our antagonistic and competitive energies into a productive channel, like instead of killing each other and, tribe invading tribe and all that, we could actually just take all that animosity and channel it into peaceful economic competition. And that, the winners of those quote unquote battles would actually be benefiting the human race forever, right? Like discovering new ideas, creating new products, helping the species be fruitful and multiply. And so I think that's what we're seeing with Bitcoin ultimately. Like, it's just taking capitalism to the next level, right? That it's
Yep.
really, I don't know, throwing fuel on the fire, whatever metaphor you want to use here. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Like Bitcoin's
Uh,
relationship to capitalism?
I would say capitalism was an idea, but it's based on fiat. So the closest metaphor that I could say is that there is inflammation into the idea. So we are going to cure it with Bitcoin. So that idea can actually prosper because right now we are dragged with all the inefficiency, all the problems that the fiat system is doing. I also had one quote that fiat is the autoimmune disease and Bitcoin is the cure, because autoimmune disease is attacking its own host, its own entity, and fiat is the exact same thing. Even though somebody is benefiting, but it's attacking this humanity organism, and Bitcoin will cure it. Will be on the same thing, and that's what I would say for the capitalism point. That the idea itself, it's not a bad one, but there's a corruption that's sitting that is the foundation of that idea. When we put it on the right foundation, that idea can now flourish.
But so you would say, like, contrary to the popular misconception that we're in late stage capitalism, we're actually in some form of pseudo capitalism, that Bitcoin will put us more into a real, a less pseudo form of capitalism.
Uh, yeah, we're still human. Some people will take advantage of other people, but um, it's not systemic. It's individual. If I can say this, and I'm referencing again my other articles that the instant settlement series is that I go deep into the medium of exchangeness, and I kind of figured out there after working for Breez and being focused on this is that right now all the employees are not paid for work done. Yeah, so back before there were fiat money and even before there were money, we were doing work all the time, and we got the benefits from the universe, whatever we were chasing. But now when you receive a salary at the end of the month, at the end of the week, it doesn't matter. It doesn't represent that you worked. It represents that you're paid for time. The time will pass anyway. How much work you are doing is kind of not completely irrelevant, but it's not the main thing that you're paid for. You're paid for time. And I was figuring out why the hell in the first month when you hire somebody, he's the best employee. He's motivated to go do work, but when they receive their first check, maybe their second, they start optimizing what is the minimum amount of work to do for the maximum amount of pay. And the employers on the other side, because we're separated again, are the exact opposite. What is the maximum amount of work that I want to squeeze out of them for the minimum pay? So that's a direct conflict. And I understood that this is the key thing, that they are paid for time. So they are pulled to the incentive. So if I'm paid for a week, for a day, for a month, based on that, if I work, that is my cost. So my profit is less at the end of the month. So if I do nothing, that means it's 100% profit. So they're pulled to that incentive if they are paid for time. And now with the Lightning payment and third layer solutions, now this thing can be changed. Now you can be paid for tasks. You can be streamed value every second, every minute of the work that you are doing. And now nobody is going to check the time that you did. They're going to give you the task. The faster you do it, the faster you get Bitcoin or SAT. And we will align ourselves on that medium of exchange layer this way. Not only that, but Lightning also has a very special property that you can, because it's very programmable, you can split payments. So now imagine, Robert, that not only that you receive money exactly when you finish the task, but if I cooperate with you and we do the task together and we understand, okay, I'll get 10% for that task and you get 90%, we receive that value immediately with the split payment. I get my 10% when the task is done and you get your 90%. And now we are getting stuck again on this global standard, the same thing. Imagine this being in a company, whether that's a podcast or anything else. Every employee in that company to receive a split payment when the company does the product or everything else, it will unleash so much more than number go up. But again, those are 6 different articles, and I go very deep dive in my thoughts, and I had no idea that this will unleash humanity on a completely new level that nobody is talking about.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think about, as people's lives are progressively getting harder in this fiat paradigm, and what they want is moving further away from them. There's like an issue going on in the world today. It's referred to as quietly quitting, where people are basically like doing the absolute bare minimum. They don't have any incentive to excel. They want to extract from their workplace beyond what the value exchange is. Um, yeah, and I think and on a Bitcoin standard, with your life getting better, you're more incentivized to go after earning and producing.
Yeah, but again, it is even if you're paid Bitcoin, but if you're paid for time, this incentive pulls you into what we talked about because the time will pass anyway. Whether that I receive fiat and I turn it into Bitcoin or I directly receive Bitcoin, it's a bit different. I'm saying that if you receive, like the universe, I do physical work, force times displacement. I do this and I receive value, whether that's economical value in a form of Bitcoin, because that's the only thing that can be streamed and can, as a technology, can service that need to pay for every single task. Now you're pulled to actually go do work because to what you said, the quiet desperation in employees is let's play this overtime. You receive monthly salary. Now you're trying to do less and less, but not get fired. That means your skills are getting atrophied. When your skills are becoming less, that means you can do less and less over time. Now you become even more dependent on the salary. That means that the employer will give you more abuse because he's frustrated that you're doing less. That angers you and you can't quit because you don't have skills to go do some other work. And it's this circle of going down and down and down over time. But if you're on the other standard, what I tell you, that you receive instant settlement with Lightning Network or anything else for the task done. That means you do one task, you figure out how to do this task faster, better, stronger. Your
Yeah,
skills
okay.
improve, and then you go ask for more money. The money itself can purchase you more. You can, if the employer gives you abuse, you quit, you go do anything else that you want, and now you're not desperate because you have the optionality and you can be a force of nature. But that's what I'm going deep into those articles that it's very tricky. It's again on the user experience. It's not only needed that I buy Bitcoin and wait for things to happen.
Yeah, so I misunderstood you there. So you're essentially paying with Lightning in that instant settlement, you could pay for tasks to be done as opposed to paying somebody for their time. And that technology allows that to be done easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I use the podcasting scene because you're in this scene just to make it even more clear? For example, right now, there are a lot of Bitcoin podcasts that talk about theory, and that's valuable as we talked about. But it's still in the fiat experience. That means that if I want to buy Bitcoin, I have to go somewhere to figure it out. Also, to get a sponsor, that means that somebody has to be willing to pay the podcast to be a sponsor. That means that they have to have money. So a lot of companies will not do that. Not only that, but as a sponsor, you must have some type of exclusivity because you're not going to promote two products or two services that are the same because it's kind of a competition. And what's the point of promoting one? What else? You're in a platform where it's becoming more and more centralized. All of those kinds of things is fiat experience. And in the articles I talk about, let's imagine that other world that's, let's say it's in 50 years. And we can do instant settlement and we can do split payment. That means that you don't have to have sponsors, but let's say you have a partnership for a hardware wallet or any product. And you invite the CEO to talk about that product. And in the screen, you have a QR code that anybody can buy that product, hardware wallet or any service. And now, because it's in your platform, you receive 10% split payment of everything sold. The manufacturer gets the 80%, 90%, doesn't matter. But now this thing flows. Not only that, but the next episode, you can invite their competitor. You can do the same thing. And now there isn't any type of exclusivity. You have the full freedom to invite anybody. You're not dependent on anybody to influence what you should put in your podcast or your platform. And on the other side, the sponsors, their marketing budget is absolute zero because they're not prepaying for views or for talks or for mentions. They are paying a commission, and not only they're prepaying, but the actual user consumer is paying. And that's, again, I'm not sure if I make sense because it's a deeper rabbit hole, but I hope it kind of connects.
That makes
it's
sense.
It's a pay for performance model, but because the transaction fees are so low and the money can flow so seamlessly online, that you can align these stakeholders basically much more easily, right? So instead of paying up front, as you said, for the marketing budget to run an ad and hopefully get customers, they can actually just pay for customers. It's almost like a just-in-time inventory system, but applied to consumer acquisition. And
Yeah, absolutely. And those are third and second order consequences of it, just because the technology is now becoming available. And as we talked earlier in the conversation, when we give that user experience, and that is so much better and gives you so much impossible things to do in Fiat, but you can do this in this system. This will unleash the economy not only to not have inflation, what people are starting to grasp in Bitcoin, but it will unleash economy to be in such a high frequency and without any inflammation into it. And I don't know, maybe capitalism will be boosted so hard but it will boost also in Africa. It will boost in every part of the world because it's one with the internet. So that's what I'm kind of saying. So
I
yeah,
think
I can't wait for that word.
If you're listening to this podcast, you probably get it. You get that Bitcoin upends everything that state-sponsored schools teach us about money. For those who get the importance of Bitcoin, it is important that we have a smart way to buy and hold Bitcoin. My friends at Coinbits, the oldest Bitcoin-only exchange in the United States, have pioneered the concept of roundups, which converts your spare change into Bitcoin. Simply connect your credit or debit cards, and your usual purchases are rounded up to the nearest dollar, letting you stack sats on every purchase without even thinking about it. Coinbits also provides a terrific self-custody experience. Connect a hardware wallet for automatic withdrawals into cold storage to minimize your risk and stay sovereign over your Bitcoin. My favorite Coinbits feature is Coinbits Plus, which gives you the best exchange rate on Bitcoin. It even gives you real-time feedback on how well you are doing on your savings plan. With Coinbits Plus, power users can save more money to buy even more Bitcoin. All that, plus peer-to-peer cash and Bitcoin payments, target orders, price alerts, and more means Coinbits can help you do almost anything you need to do with Bitcoin. So go to coinbits.app/breedlove to sign up today. Again, that is Coinbits, BITS.app/breedlove. In Bitcoin, we often dream about the idea of forming citadels, which are independent, self-sovereign communities that have their own energy, food, and water resources. Today, that dream is becoming a reality at the farm at Okefenokee. The farm is a 705-acre regenerative agriculture community located at the Florida-Georgia line near Folkston, Georgia. The farm is known as the healthiest place on earth, and it includes orchards, organic standing gardens, regenerative animal pastures, berry fields, and much, much more. Today, the farm features 25 custom-built cabins and has plans to construct 225 more in the years ahead. The farm has its own food, energy, and water sources and is completely off grid. So if you're looking to join a Citadel community comprised of sovereign individuals, then go to okefarm.com today to learn more about membership. Make sure to tell them that I sent you for a $21,000 discount on custom cabin pricing. Again, that's okefarm.com to learn more about joining this revolutionary regenerative agriculture community. This dovetails or circles back to your earlier point where you were saying that it's incumbent upon Bitcoiners, or very important, let's say, for Bitcoiners, if they actually want to embody a practice that promotes Bitcoin, that they go out and build useful products and services that make use of Bitcoin, right? Building win-win games to promote the ultimate win-win game, which is Bitcoin itself. And you also said that user experience is the holy grail of product development, right? That people, if it's a good user experience, they stay. If it's not, they go. So, a lot of Bitcoiners listen to this show. Almost every Bitcoiner I've ever met is an entrepreneur to some extent. Even if they have a full-time fiat job, they usually have a side hustle. But most of them are kind of full-time on the entrepreneurial path. How should Bitcoiners and entrepreneurs more broadly be thinking about user experience?
Well, for user experience, I would say it's not about ideology, even though ideology plays a part into it. Because if you can give a great user experience and it's on a shitcoin, doesn't matter. But it all needs to be kind of connected. But what I'm saying really is that if we want to get out of theory and you give something that anybody can experience, now they don't need to understand. I don't need to understand how the light bulb works. I know the value. When I click a button, I can see stuff in the dark. And that is the real value that we can bring to the people. We don't have to convince to give their value to buy Bitcoin. You bring actual value to them through a user experience, whether that's a service again or a product. And when that experience is actually good and they can use that value to save them money or to build something of their own, now you got them. This is exactly what I understood because I did not buy Bitcoin before I listened to Jason Larry. When I heard him, I became radicalized because that word gave me so much value of understanding, even though it's theory, but now I experience it and I'm saying you can bypass all of that. That if you bring Bitcoin and let's say whether that's border cross payments, the value you can see almost instantly. But think even harder what you can bring to the people, because just to convince them, it's such a struggle. Like you, Robert, understand this more than me. You're in the educational space. For 3 years, I would say I convinced nobody. I got people into Bitcoin, but I leveraged the trust that they had in me to understand it. But when I brought some experience to them, and when I told my butcher, okay, can you accept Bitcoin? I gave him Bitcoin for the meat that I wanted to purchase, and Bitcoin shoot up. I don't have to explain anything. Like for him, he experienced it and he convinced himself what he needs to do over time. And that's what I am trying to say. Like user experience is the thing that we can bring so much more people, because when you give technology and user experience to the people, they'll not only come, but they will stay. Because in theory, if you're not convinced fully in it, you'll sell at the wrong time. But user experience is something that's kind of perpetual. If you continue to use it, it brings you more and more value, and you're not going to leave into something that's worse.
Great answer.
Yeah, and would you say that that user experience though also applies to just people stacking sats, putting it on their corporate treasury, nation states, saving in it? It's like, I've heard Robert refer to it several times as like this just incredible incentive vortex from all angles. It's providing a better user experience than the alternatives, sucking people into it.
Uh, Uh, yeah, like that's one user experience, and it's great. Like experiencing more purchasing power. Who doesn't want that? But a very basic user experience that you can show them is tell them, okay, download this wallet, and I transfer them a few sats. And now I they experience this, and now I ask them, go create a bank account for your kid in 1 minute. It's impossible. So that is the thing that I'm trying to say. Like, don't convince them, but give them the experience and then respond to their questions and try to compare some stuff. Because I went last month to create a bank account for something. It took me 2.5 hours. Like, it's horrible. And I wanted to leave every second when I was there, but I had to. There was no other choice. When I go to my coffee shop or somewhere else and I tell them, download this and you receive money. Not only that, but it doesn't care what age you are. And I give tips to kids. I give them games to play that they can earn sats. Those are the experiences that I told that will win on the second and third generation, because they are going to wait to turn 18, 14, whatever it is, to get a bank account. And I'm trying to get them even sooner. A 10-year-old kid that has a smartphone does not have any trouble receiving money now. But in the fiat system, they don't want them because for whatever reason. So that's what I mean. Like user experience is so much more than number co-op. User experience is can be anything.
Yeah, I like this idea that obviously the purchasing power growth of Bitcoin, the number go up technology. I mean, this is something that is almost like contributing to the user experience of survival itself. If you consider that purchasing power is useful for solving almost any problem, right? Obviously it's not going to fix all your health problems, but maybe it'll give you more options to fix your health problems. If you have legal problems, it will give you more options. If you have financial problems, clearly gives you more options. So the UX of user experience of a Bitcoin holder is that their survivability goes up over time. But then there's a second order consideration. It's like, but you also need to indirectly orange pill people with very positive user experiences on other applications, let's say, that make use of Bitcoin beneath the hood, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so that I think is really interesting, right? It's again, well, it's kind of like the capitalism thing. It's like, okay, Bitcoin is this amplifier to capitalism. What does that mean? It means people go out and start creating things that support the proliferation and success and decentralization and security of the Bitcoin network. And that all seems really virtuously cyclical.
Yeah. And can we actually try it? Maybe it will fail off because we're recording, but can somebody pull up a Lightning wallet on your side? Does somebody has it handy?
I don't know if I have one handy.
I got one on strike on my phone.
Can you put up a QR code so I can scan it from Bulgaria?
Yeah, I'll put it in front of the camera here. Give me just a moment. Boom.
Let's try to see. Can I scan? Oh, come on. No, it's a little bit blurry. Let me try a different wallet.
Oh, let's try that
Come on.
again. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Oh, no, it's not going to work. So, okay, so the example is bad. So this is kind of what I meant. Like, if it would work, I wasn't going to have to say anything. But now, if we give that experience, so I want to demonstrate something. Okay, this is a bad user experience, and all the non-believers, oh, see, it doesn't work, whatever. But this is kind of a bad user experience for the camera, let's say. But if you copy and paste it and I receive it, I'm certain that I can send you sats in 20 seconds with this. So that's what I wanted to just show a user experience and not talk about it, because we were talking for like 5 minutes but if you actually show, you don't have to say anything. They like experience user experience is in the experience itself. Like the
Actions
uh,
speak louder than words.
yeah, the experience is without any words, if
Yeah.
I can say it like this.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great point. And yeah, again, it's like the dichotomy between theory and practice. They're both important, right? Like you said, theory is what brought you in, but now you're very immersed in the practice of building things and whatnot. And yeah, we got to have both, right? We're guided by. I mean, again, you could be more broad, say something like ideology, beliefs, whatever, but like you need all that propositional knowing, but then you actually have to get to work and do some things, move the world. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I don't know how everything will unfold. It's just I'm so happy. Like the quality of everything is increasing in my life, and I don't measure myself with the Bitcoin whales that have so much Bitcoin and everything else. I measure myself based on where I was 5 years ago.
hmm,
It's kind of immeasurable. I was alone. I had debt because I didn't completely dealt with my situation then. And not only that, all my mother's assets were locked, but all the liabilities I got inherited those. So congratulations. Like
hmm.
I was $500,000 in debt, and I had such a tiny income in Bulgaria. But now I kind of dealt with the situation, even though I don't have a lot of Bitcoin compared to the standard in America or everything else, but I know that I'm achieving what I want to have in my life. I have a person to me, and I would say that uh, family, there is no second best. Bitcoin is second best, and everything else is almost irrelevant.
I love that.
Beautiful, dude. I think it's probably a beautiful place to put a button on it too. Um,
It was a lovely conversation. I told you maybe I was a little bit chaotic, but thank you very much for bringing that theory that I understood where I need to focus on. And yeah, I hope to see you someday also live. Uh, yeah, let's orange peel the world, and we are on a mission not only just to talk about, but I want to see humanity on one standard of value.
hmm, amen to that. Just because you brought this to mind with talking about theory and practice, I want to leave you with these words that are I've always found them to be very important and puts the emphasis on practice or action over theory. There's a saying that in theory there's no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. Like it's one thing to have ideas about the world, but you actually have to go out into the world and test those ideas to see what works ultimately, right? And this is why work is such philosophically pivotal word in Bitcoin, proof of work.
Yeah,
It's not just a consensus mechanism, it's a philosophy of life. And
absolutely. Work is a beautiful thing. Work is not relying on somebody paying you. Work is moving things through time and space.
yeah,
That is the physical definition of work.
yes.
So we're doing work for ourselves mainly. And if you're doing work for somebody else, get the proper tool to get the value.
Well said.
Word to that. I love that.
Uh, Yvonne, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the internet?
I'm not a content creator, even though I show up to podcasts from time to time, but anybody that would like to integrate Lightning into their apps, they can contact Breez. We're focused on building infrastructure and to make it very, very easy for any developer to put Lightning in their app. And that's kind of the mission for the company now, that we don't need more Lightning apps. We need more apps with Lightning.
Beautiful. Ivan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being the first episode with Stacks. This was feels like
Yeah, thank you. This was a fun one. Tremendous honor. It's in some sense, I don't know, it's all a little surreal. Bitcoin seems to have that effect on your life. It's like this feedback loop of things to be grateful for, creating more things to be grateful for. And so for that, I'm very grateful to be here. So thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.